Terror.
Yeah.
Got some good ass weed up in this motherfucker.
Terror. Yo. Pass back in this bitch like I left something. Scratch murder by numbers. Thought it was too gutter. My brothers wanted me to bring it to these motherfuckers. Gates said it's war on terror, make them push the panic button. Now they frantic running, knowing I'm a damn it.
Giving up is hard to do.
Giving up is hard to do.
Giving up is hard to do.
I never sat before my window on the second floor. I was a little chica on the block, hustling work. Trying to keep my hands out my pants so they wouldn't thaw. Had me serving classmates, teammates, I was cooking up raw.
Hey, what's good? It's your boy Milkman Beats, and y'all now tuned into the Keep It Concrete podcast. Today we got another good one. Y'all want to stay tuned for this one because we're going to talk about mental health 101, and we have Rhea with us today.
Thank you. So I am Rhea. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm actually licensed to practice in New York, New Jersey, and Delaware. So I get the opportunity to help individuals become the best version of themselves. So I do individual work. I get to work with couples as well as families looking to just improve.
That's what's up. All right.
Yes, because mental health is a big thing right now.
Definitely.
I love the fact that people are recognizing issues within mental health, and I think people are starting to become more comfortable with seeking help and getting help for anything they need.
All right. If you don't mind me asking, how long you been practicing?
So, oh gosh, such a long journey. So, prior to doing this, I was actually a therapist at Krauss. So I was a chemical dependency therapist. Mm-hmm. My timeline, I do everything by pregnancy. So at the time, I was pregnant with my youngest. He'll be 9, so just shy of a decade. Just shy of 10 years.
Wow.
Okay, so can you break down what's mental health to me? So after we done with this, you can tell me how crazy I am.
So I guess a disclaimer, I don't like I won't call anybody crazy.
I'm just joking with you.
I think we all have a story to tell. We all have experiences, and based on those experiences, we show up in life a particular way, or we interact with certain people a certain way based off those experiences. Like the clinical definition of mental health, anything, so any quote unquote like disorder or anything that is showing up in your life that is impacting your ability to do the basic day-to-day activities. So for a kid, if something is happening and it's impacting their ability to go to school, it's impacting their ability to sit in the classroom and focus. For an adult, anything that might impact your ability to get up and go to work, something that also might impact your relationships. So siblings, family, mom, dad, partners, anything that rises to that level, or that you're noticing like, this thing is impacting how I talk to people, or is impacting how I'm able to do my job, I would recommend connecting with a therapist. And I know that's very like loosey-goosey, but that's the best way to describe it, outside of your extreme cases of you see somebody talking to themselves saying, oh, I'm hearing voices. Those are like the extreme end of mental health. But all the other stuff, I feel like everybody experiences, and I'm a firm believer that everybody can benefit from outside perspective from a therapist.
I agree.
So, did I answer? Yeah. Or was it too like?
Definitely.
Okay.
All right, give me the hood version then, because you gave me the book version.
Wait.
That's true.
See, show the hood version.
Wait, say it again.
He said give him the hood version because now you give him the book version.
Give me the book version. Give me the hood version.
I'm trying to think
because
like what's.
a lot of people will be diagnosing themselves with shit and don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And then some people be having some shit for real and don't even know they got that shit.
I'm trying like. I don't know if there really is a hood version per se, outside of again, anything that's impacted how you show up on a day-to-day basis, I would highly recommend getting a therapist. A therapist is then going to be the one to kind of put a name to it, to say, based on what you're sharing, you are experiencing anxiety, or you're a little depressed. So, but I feel like, again, everybody has something that they can benefit from having a conversation with a therapist. I always tell my clients, I liken the work that I do to, I'm like a magnifying glass. I'm not there to tell you how to live your life. I'm there to kind of shine light on certain things that you do and help make connection to, okay, so what's the why? Like, why do you do that? Why is it every time somebody cuts me off when I'm talking to them or they overtalk me, I black out and I spaz out? There's a why to that. So I always try and connect to, okay, so what is that rooted in, and how do we heal whatever happened that is now why you respond in a certain way.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you feel about
I swear to God, I know my problem.
high functioning depression?
I don't know
Is
why.
that what it's called?
So there is such a thing. So what are you asking
Like,
specifically?
like what's some examples of a high functioning depressed person?
So high functioning depression might look like somebody that's able to kind of get up, go to work, or get up, go to school and handle their business. But then after work hours, you might not hear from them. So they might not be somebody that's really communicative after work. You're not going to necessarily be able to get them on the phone. Somebody who maybe doesn't necessarily return text messages. And they're just doing, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but literally like just doing the bare minimum. Might not be a ton of socialization with other people. So, but again, it looks different from person to person.
Okay.
There's no it's not etched in stone. There's no one size fits all. Think of mental health like a big area of gray. You have your extreme ends, your black and white, but most people are going to reside in the gray area.
Okay. And being like, I know like a lot of people, I'm assuming they think that they have to go through traumatizing events as a child, but you can also go through traumatizing events as an adult.
Correct.
And I feel like when that happens, they feel like I'm too, you know what I mean, I'm a grown ass man, or I'm
Like
a grown ass woman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So do you see that happening a lot? I know you can't get specific.
So I feel like when we hear the word trauma, again, we go to the extreme ends of what that looks like. So we think of, have you witnessed somebody getting shot? Have you been in like a really bad car accident? So we think, again, the things that are the outliers that all of us, if we seen on a list, we'd be like, oh yeah, that's traumatic. Most people have some experience with trauma. So if you grow up and a parent abandons you, like that's traumatic as a kid. So a kid growing up, they could identify, or with a therapist, they could come to the realization like, oh, I did experience a traumatic thing, but again, they're not those outliers. So I think everybody experiences trauma in some form or fashion, but what was your original, what'd you ask me specifically?
Basically like do you like see that happen often, as far as like adults being like, no, I got to deal with this because I'm adult, you know what I mean? I'm no longer a child, so if this happens to me, I got to find a way to get through because I got to be strong for everybody else, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And again, most people think of trauma in those extreme ends. So once I have the opportunity to sit down and we're starting to peel back the layers, they'll share something and I'll be like, well, you do know that is an example of trauma. So most people as adults, again, unless they're those extreme examples, don't necessarily, or don't have the awareness that they've experienced something traumatic until you start to have conversation. And then even the slightest thing that someone could have experienced, but if they experience it multiple times, like that itself can be traumatic.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so most adults don't have, they don't necessarily think that they've experienced trauma. Until you be like, well, yeah, that's a little traumatic. Like,
why do you think that when kids grow up in single parent homes, that the parent that left gets more respect and honor?
I don't know if I can give an answer to that, only because it is oftentimes situational. But what I do see, kids will oftentimes idolize the parent that's not there. And even if that parent is doing like some shady stuff, or they're being mean to the kid, because there is, I'm trying to think what's the word, because
But the kid
there's
doesn't see
not
it.
there, and because there's not that consistency, it's more likely for the kid to explain it away or justify it or make an excuse for, say they're with the parent that they don't normally see, they get with them, they do something, and the parent takes away their phone. They may not necessarily view it as a punishment, but they may be able to justify why that parent did it, versus if I'm the single mom and I'm taking the phone, well, you just don't like me, you just being me. When in fact, like, I'm doing this because you did something and there's a consequence to your actions. Whereas the other parent, they may, either disregard it or just find an excuse as to why, or to explain it away as to why they're okay with that parent, maybe taking the phone away.
I feel like they'll like fantasize.
Yeah.
The other parent.
Yeah. I just see something on TikTok where they said that males romanticize the father that left, and they blame the mom that stayed, and like have resentment towards them and be like, well, he didn't want me because of you, or this, that, and third. Like, they blame the mother that stayed and helped raise them, but then they romanticize the father.
It wasn't present,
Yeah. And I was like, wow, I never looked at it like that, because I always say to myself, like, not for everybody's situation. I'm just saying, like, just from looking at situations around me and how, if you're not in a certain headspace, and with talking with different males throughout my time and like getting their perspective on stuff, I'll be like, well, do you really like a woman, or you just like have sex with a woman? Because I feel like in the brain they connect more with each other. You know what I mean? Okay. Not that they don't like women at all, or they, you know what I mean? But it's just like a certain disconnect, I feel like, that don't be there from just things that I see. You know what I mean? Like, you more like this with your friends, but you more like that with your spouse. You get what I'm saying? Or the money over women type of thing, or stuff like that. And I just be like, but we always sacrifice ourselves to, you know what I mean? So I was like,
that money over, don't believe that shit. We just don't believe that shit.
That ain't what it is. That ain't what it is.
I don't believe that shit.
Okay, I'm happy
Glad
you
somebody
said it.
Yeah.
I just was like, I seen something on the internet, and it was like, they blame the mom, and then they romanticize the father that left, and they don't never hold them accountable. Even when some people are my family members, I see them do that with their kids. So I'll be like, dang, that's crazy. Because your mom stayed there and raised you and gave you everything you need, and you got more respect for the person that abandoned you. You know what I mean? So I just be like,
I feel like abandonment is viewed in different forms, because a lot of times a parent can be there but not fully be present.
Right.
And I feel like that happens a lot. Like just what you said, I feel like in households, it's always the, not for nothing, but I do feel like it's always the single mom thing. But I feel like a lot of times now, especially in today's society, these kids, the mother is there, but they're not present with their children at all. So the child experiences abandonment from both parts, but abandonment looks worse to a parent who's physically there but not present, versus abandonment for a parent that's not there at all. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's just a different ways to view it and look at it like that. Because now, I mean, just with kids today, it's so easy for adults to not put in the work with their children, to not put in, all people do they hand their kid a device and walk away. There's no involvement. They don't take the time to even know their kid. A lot of people don't even know their children. They don't know how their children really are, how their children interact with people, and then until something bad happens or something's wrong, and then it's like, let me chastise my child, or either they chastise their child or they make excuses for their children.
Yeah, so excuses when it's big.
Yeah, so I think it's viewed in different ways. But abandonment can come from anybody. You could be a hard, and I feel like even with parenting, there's no book, a perfect book on parenting. You can be a parent that's there, and you can really feel in your heart that you are providing everything for this child and everything this child needs. But like I said, you may not be connecting with your child. So then that can be a form of abandonment that you don't even realize or you don't see. And that might even have been passed on to someone from their parents. So I feel a lot of stuff is generational, and because you're not being physically abused or something like that, like you don't look at those things like that, but they can affect every single person or child differently. Yeah. Every kid is different. One kid might require a lot more attention and a lot more, you know, than an affection than the other kid.
That's how my kids is right now, and they got a big gap. I got a 16-year-old.
I think that's most kids when you got more than one.
And a 2-year-old. You think your boys is like that? Like one be up under you and one don't?
You can never treat no kid the same. My mom said the same thing.
Yeah,
no kid. All those sneaky ways. How they come out, one manipulative, one smart, one.
No, I grew up in a household. My mother has 10 kids. Every single last one of us are completely different. Literally, every single last one of us. Completely different. Completely have different personalities. Completely have different needs and wants, and that's how we are.
You gotta kind of read people the best you could and know who you're dealing with. I try to shit anybody, but I know how to tone my shit down. I know when to go in. I know what I'm saying. What certain people, certain shit. Because you can't scream and raise your voice to certain people. But you gotta try to watch shit like that.
Yeah, and you're not gonna always get it right. That's why therapy is good, because then where you don't know something, you know what I mean, a therapist can step in and help you and let you know where you're not seeing something, you know, where you're not figuring out what it is or whatever.
Because even like you guys are talking about abandonment can be a form of trauma, and then most people don't know. Like I'm trying to think how I can explain it. So we form how we attach to people within the first 4 years of our life. And how we end up attaching to people as adults is based on, again, from when we're at ages 1 to 4, which is based on how we form our attachment or how we connect and bond with our parents. So if you have a parent that's not present, what that typically looks like in adulthood, it can go one or two ways. Depending on who the parent is so I'm a female. Say I didn't form much of an attachment with my dad as a kid. Say he was absent from the house, or he was there and just wasn't, again, we just didn't have a close connection. What that may look like now as an adult, the one version, I may easily attach to men, and they call that, I want to say, is that like, that's an anxious,
I think it's trauma bonding.
Because I want to say, so there's the avoidant attachment type, disorganized, anxious, and secure. Ideally, everybody wants to form a secure attachment, or that's what you would consider like a healthy attachment. But what happens if a parent is absent, you end up on the two ends of the spectrum. Either anxious, meaning as soon as I meet somebody, oh, I'm in love, like, is this the one for me? Or the other end of it is they're avoidant, and then they just have difficulty forming attachments or forming close bonds with anyone as they get old. And then when you get that kind of person, like literally you have to go back to, okay, so what happened in your childhood? And it's like, the work that you do is, how do we heal the younger version of you? What is it that you missed out on as a kid, and really being intentional about peeling back those layers? Because the reality is, you can't get a redo. It is what it is. We acknowledge that, this is what happened to you. It's unfortunate that this is what happened to you, but moving forward, now that you have the information, or you're in the know of how I attach to people, now the work becomes, how do I change that? How do I become intentional about forming a different type of attachment, knowing that I lacked A, B, C, and D as a kid? But what ends up happening, most people, because they don't go to therapy, they end up not knowing that. And then now we have kids. And the reality is, I can't give my kid what I didn't have. I can only give them based on what I know. And if what I know is dysfunctional or unhealthy, not that we intentionally do that to our kids, but we can only give based on what we know. If I don't know, I just don't know. And a lot of work that I do with kids and even parents, the one underlying premise that I try and get everybody to be agreeable on, again, with the exception of our outliers. Do you believe that your parent did the best that they could with the tools that they have?
Yes.
Most people say yes. And then I'll ask, do you believe that your parent did anything intentionally to hurt you? Most people will answer no. So based on those answers, the work then becomes, well, based on the tools that she had, that doesn't mean that she didn't hurt you. That doesn't mean that some things went wrong or you felt some kind of way. It just means the tools she had in her toolbox was all she had. If I need a hammer to hammer down a nail, but I only have a screwdriver, I can only use the tool that I have. So I always liken it in that way to people. So then the work becomes, can you forgive? Can you extend grace to your parent? Because again, assuming we're on the same page and we're both agreeable that your parents didn't do anything to intentionally hurt you, they did the best that they can. The work becomes, can you forgive that unfortunately they just fell short? They fell short, and now how do you move on? How do you, like Yanni said, it's generational. How do you not repeat the pattern? How do you become more intentional about showing your kids or showing up differently, specifically parenting, but the same rule of thumb applies, like romantic relationships, friendships, all that
because
stuff.
I learned that once I moved out of town, and my mom moved to where I was at a year later, and I was asking her, like, who was y'all before y'all had kids? Because I didn't know who y'all was before y'all had kids, and my parents divorced. So I went through a lot of rebellions, like running the streets, like trying to figure out, trying to attach myself to people, and that's when I realized, like, well, what my dad was there, and he was a good dude, but and I knew he loved me, but he never really like showed me he loved me. So I used to want the attention from the males and want the affection and stuff like that, and I started like processing it, like as I got older, like what am I doing? Like why am I want to be attached to people so much? And why are they pulling away? And like I just started processing everything, and as time went by, I just learned how to heal myself. And just was like, this happened, it's okay, now you know better. You know what? I actually sit over here. I came back, he was there.
Even if he was across, he would still say the same shit.
Yeah, it's a big learning experience, like healing yourself. And I'm still learning.
I think everybody's still learning.
Yeah, I'm thinking about still learning too.
Do you recommend like family therapy? Like when you see the person individually, I'm not talking about like family. I'm not. So no, like when you treat someone individually, like then do you like?
Well, depending on what they say, like the
okay. So it depends on what's going on. Because I have had a front row seat where I'm working with one individual, and it's very clear that someone else is the issue or someone else is contributing to why they're, why they seeking therapy. And I've reached out. I've had a couple of teenagers where, okay, so your parents are the issue. I'm gonna reach out to parents. We gonna see if, we can all come together. Hopefully have this wonderful kumbaya moment. You'd be surprised how many parents are unaware of how they show up in their kids' lives, and their child is a scapegoat. So what the parent is identifying is the symptom, or what needs to be fixed is a direct result of the parent-child relationship. And parents, I've had a couple parents that just lack the insight of being able to connect the dots to realize, if I come to therapy and we do family work, the issue that I'm having with my kid is no longer going to be an issue. It's always, well, this is a problem child, you need to fix her. And I be having to tell parents, listen, she's 17, it took 17 years for this issue to develop. She only meeting with me for an hour a week. So, one parent I had to say, so after 40 weeks, which that's almost a whole year, I've only had 40 hours with her. You worked 80 hours in 2 weeks. So please don't think because she's connected with me after a year or shy of a year that she's gonna miraculously be fixed, and they'd be like, oh yeah, like that's not how it works. And
When
then
you break it down like that,
and then I'd be like, and then you canceled a couple times, so
Yeah.
we really only got 2 weeks worth of work that we've actually done. But parents are interesting. I will say that I feel like my experience with parents, they're either at one end of the spectrum. Either they get it and they are invested and they want to do the work and they're able to make the connection, or they're at the other end of the spectrum, like, no, I don't know what's going on, you need to fix her. And I'm
Like, no, that's the kid. It's the kid. It's the kid.
Fix
Like,
it, baby, and bring it
that's
back.
not how it works. So
Okay, so I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you got a grown up, right? You give them a session to,
Okay.
and it's whether female or male, they playing the victim so bad, and it could be true, but you want to know, like, damn, I want to hear the other side of the story. Would you call the other person in? Or, like, would you look for them?
So here's the thing, whoever my client is, like, they have to give me permission to invite the other person.
But would you want, like, that story so good, like, if
Do-
they playing the
do you
victim,
ever
like,
want
would
to?
you want, like, would you ever want to, like, let me, whether you push
Like,
that,
I need more
So
content.
honestly, so here's the deal. After so many sessions, I don't want to say a good therapist, but since this is what I do for a living, after so many sessions, I can kind of tell, like,
full of shit.
am I getting the whole story? Or if they're always coming into my office and it's always woe is me or such and such, yada, yada, yada. Because you got to think about it. I'm the in-between time. I'm giving them advice on, okay, so when session is over or when you're out, like when you're not in here, these are things you can do. Most times it's like homework. So I can kind of tell somebody's full of it if they coming back like, nah, I didn't do the homework. First I'll ask, because I'm very clear. So did you not do it because you weren't feeling the assignment? You didn't want to do it? Like, tell me the why. Because I always tell my clients, I never want to set you up for failure. So if I assign a homework assignment that you know is not a realistic expectation, I want you to tell me, like, yeah, yo, Rhea, I'm not doing that. I'm not feeling it. Whatever the case may be. Then that gives me something to go on. So if I tell people, when you tell me yes, I'm assuming that means we're on the same page, you have a clear understanding, you're going to do the work. After so many sessions, and I've had clients come back, I'd be like, well, why is it that you're always the one that somebody's doing something wrong to? What role do you play in it? Like, help me understand. Because again, based on what you're sharing, and we're agreeable that you're going to do these things outside the session, like, why is it not happening? Because I've had people that, they come to therapy, say they're ready to do the work, and they're not really ready. Which I tell them, that's okay. Maybe now is just not the time for you. Maybe for whatever reason, you're not ready to do the work, you're scared, whatever the case may be, it is okay. There's no wrong or right way to do therapy. You can't make me mad. Like, none of that really applies. So I always try and make our relationship as open as possible so that they can share those things. Because therapy only works if the client is willing to do the work. And if they're not, I'm open for exploring. But yeah, I'm pretty good at, calling bullshit.
Are you seeing more male patients now that they're becoming aware of their mental health through these last couple of years, or no? They still not?
No. It's still, I feel like 90%.
That's
like,
why y'all crazy.
90% of my caseload is still female.
So when you do you have like parents who recognize, like, okay, do you think children could be stressed for one? And do you have parents who like recognize that children could be stressed? Because I really think children be stressed. I don't know if that's the right term, but like a lot of people don't realize it because they think they kids and what they got to worry about. They ain't got this, they ain't got, but like, you know what I'm saying? But they have like stresses, whatever it might be. But like I be seeing some parents don't recognize that your child might be stressed or overwhelmed or whatever. That's probably why they threw a chair across the class today or whatever the hell the case may be. Like, do you think children get stressed, if that's a good term for
Yes. So my underlying premise, I don't think any kid is bad. I don't think kids wake up one day and just decide, like, I'm gonna tear some shit up. Like, I don't and that's just me personally. I don't think kids are like that. There's always a root to the behavior. What we see, like the stress out, the throwing the chairs, the cussing teachers out, like that's a symptom to something else. I think as adults, it's our job to figure out, okay, so why is this kid like this? And I think you'd be surprised how many kids have anxiety, but because they don't have the language,
They don't know how to
They
express
act out and they do things because that's all they know how to do, because they don't know. A kid at 5 or 7 can't walk into their teacher or their parent to say, like, yo, like I'm super anxious because such and such is bullying me at school. I'm scared. I don't want to go. What you will probably see is a kid wake up in the morning making excuses why they can't go to school. Oh, I can't find my socks, or just dragging their feet about getting ready. And then when they get to school, what they may know is, I know such and such that sits behind me is bullying me. I don't know how to tell my teacher, so I'm gonna act a hot mess so I can get kicked out of the classroom, so I don't have to worry about such and such sitting behind me bullying me.
And why do you think it's looked down upon people who do seek help, who do seek a therapist? Like,
so I think there's this notion of being crazy, and I'm like, well, what is crazy? I think we all, we all a little bit off our rockers, and everybody has a story to tell.
I said it's a matter of opinion. It'd be a matter of opinion. 'Cause I think something, like she said, I think some of it by their own way, but some people see this shit.
It's definitely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
With you being a parent and a therapist, like, what's some like techniques or some advice you got, like, as far as you go when you discipline your children and stuff?
Which, by the way, she is a super parent. How many kids you got?
And she got all boys.
Yeah,
so.
all boys.
That's what's up. She lucky.
Do you therapy them?
I got two and I can ride it.
Do you therapy them?
I know you use some of your.
So I don't necessarily
you
therapy them. I'm very aware of like the power dynamics because I'm mom. There's just a certain power just by nature of the role that I play in their life. That regardless of what we're doing, that will always be in play. So I make sure, like, when I chastise my kids, I don't stand over them. I get down on their level, because the last thing I want to do is come off as intimidating. I don't necessarily think I got to be yell and spazzing to get my point across. That doesn't mean in certain moments that I don't yell and spaz, but when I do that, because again, I never want my kids to fear me. I want them to respect me. If I do something that I feel like, Rhea, you were a bit rough, I'm very quick to apologize. Like, I try not to cuss at my kids, but that doesn't mean that, on the right day, if the stars not aligning and I'm tired, that I'm not. But when I do that, I'm real quick to come back, like, you know what, my bad. I shouldn't have did that. This is like, I'm a little on edge, and I have to tell my kids, like, these are my triggers. Like, yo, y'all can't come in the house all talking at me at the same time. Like, that doesn't work. That sends my anxiety through the roof. So if you want a good response from me, I need you to come in the house. Hi, mommy. How was your day? Like, I really like coach them. Like, this is how you need to interact with me. And I tell them the same way that I'm being intentional with you. My hope is that you can tell people like how to interact with you. So I know my oldest, when he gets mad, he typically cries and he'll storm off. I have had to learn not to chase behind him, because when I chase behind him, we end up bumping heads. But I had to learn that. So I tell him, I'm gonna give you your space. I don't want to feel disrespected, and I don't want you to feel like I'm putting you in a situation that you can't necessarily, you don't know how to manage your emotions. So I give him his space, because the reality is, like, the front of our brain, which is what I want to say, is that what helps, like, with our ability to reason and manage our emotions.
Like fight or flight.
That front part of our brain is not fully developed until 25. So there are certain situations.
I heard that recently on something, and I never knew. I was like, 25?
So
in like certain parts of your brain.
The 10-year-old that did that to his mother, they was talking about, like, his brain not all the way developed, so he can't.
The one about the video game?
Yeah, about the video game. They was having a big conversation on the internet about that. They said his brain ain't all the way developed yet, so he's not able to reason, or he's not able to grasp what he did. Yeah, I just was listening to that too. How old is your oldest child?
He just turned 14.
Oh, that's that age too.
They know your
14.
occupation, right? Do they try you a lot? Do they try you?
No. I will say, I don't think, so no, I don't think they try me. My younger two, I think, just test the limit.
That's what I see. That's what I mean.
The last one.
and I don't know if it's even like testing the limits. I'm just very aware they have very different personalities. My older kids they're quicker to like listen, quicker to not like, they're not the ones that's really gonna question me. And I know my younger ones are, but I attribute most of that to, I parented, because I had my younger kids, was I in my 30s? I was in my 30s. I parented very different, and I showed up very differently as a mother with them versus the older two. And it's not like a ton of, because they're 14, 12, 8, and 9. So it's not like, we don't have decades in between. But I noticed for me personally, I was very different at 30 than I was in my mid-20s. Like I was just, and not, again, I'm not like a wild, like loud person, but I was a lot calmer as a mom with my younger boys versus my older boys.
They say you're more lenient.
You are.
The more,
You grow with your kids.
Yeah, you
Like,
grow
you
with your
definitely
kids.
grow with your kids.
Yeah.
You learn, you know what I'm saying? Not saying your first kid.
And
be
you
the
were
guinea pig,
younger
but I'm
when
just
you
saying,
had your first, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm sure
But
it
them
was
young
shorter.
ones,
They really do test you.
They
Real
listen
bad.
here.
Real bad.
Yeah, they sure do.
Real fucking bad.
Plus I feel like kids are different now. Like they
are.
it's, when we were growing up, it was you couldn't even question nothing. It was do what I said because I said it. And now they want to know, well, why you want me to do this? Like, why do I need to
why I
do
gotta
this?
do it? Why you
And why do I have to be quiet about it? Why do I need to go in the other room and shut my mouth? Like, I need to know why. Like, so it's definitely different.
Yeah, because I used to feel like, you know what I'm saying, like what you just was saying. Like I used to feel like when my older son, he asked me a question, and I'd be like, I don't gotta explain nothing, but I catch myself explaining myself to my younger kids, and I realize that's not a bad thing because they don't understand. So you should explain yourself. You know what I mean? I used to feel like, you know what I mean, but that was.
Yeah, it's different times. Us growing up, you could not question.
Yeah, you couldn't question nothing.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say.
You couldn't say. I'm telling you.
But now I explain stuff, and it's like, okay, and I get a, you know what I'm saying? I get a different, you know what I mean, response. They go,
I got
okay.
so many ass
And they
whoopings
probably
because of that. I got beat. I got so many ass whoopings because I didn't know how to turn that off. I didn't know how to turn that down. Like with
I got more whoopings than my brothers too.
I know I did. It was, I didn't know how to turn down the mom when my mom got home. Like my mom would come home from work and I had my younger siblings, before she got home. So I'm the parent when she ain't around. And then when she would get home, she'll be like, okay, she'd tell them something and I'm telling them something different. And then when they go to listen to her, I'll be telling them, you heard what I said. And my mother would be like, wait a minute, who the fuck? Who you think you are? So I got you because you left me. I got my ass whooped all because I didn't know how to turn that off. Like I did not know. I was in mom mode all the time. Growing up, it was Yanni and them kids. That's all my friends used to be like. Yanni and the kids, like Rhea. No, we used to be cheerleading and stuff. Yeah, I always had a little trail of kids with me. Come on, y'all, let's go. Shoot.
So how can we bring like awareness, like to like mental health, like actually seeing a therapist and stuff? Like it's actually not a bad thing. You could, you know what I'm saying? You could grow from it.
Yeah, I think bringing awareness will look like, I'm gonna say this, but as a therapist in my head, I'm just like, are people really gonna do that? I think just being open about being connected with a therapist, but I also understand at the same time the clichéness that's connected to it. I think, just talking about it, being as open or as comfortable as you feel about sharing, hey, I'm connected with a therapist.
That's what's up.
A lot of my clients have told me, like when I'm doing here, a lot of them have told me, like, oh my God, and you guys see, my therapist is awesome. Like the ones that go to therapy, they love it. Like they're so for it. They will tell you.
Have you noticed that your clients feel like you're their therapist sometimes?
Oh yes. Absolutely.
Therapeutic for them to sit in your chair and tell you all their business, and I'll be like, I didn't need to know all of that.
I'll be back there like, well, I think that.
Yeah, me. That's me.
Me personally.
Well, you know what I would have done.
Me into that because the one time.
Yeah, like it's definitely a lot, and sometimes I have to tell myself too, like when you do hair and stuff like that, like your clients become kind of like your family, and I be so connected to people because I really I care about their hair, so I care about them. So then when they tell me their personal stuff, like sometimes I really be worried. Like I be like, oh my God, such and such, she's having some health problem. Like in my own, like I really worry about what my clients go through and stuff like that. Like, this client's going through that. Like, it really affects me. So, yeah, seriously, a genuine concern. So I definitely be like, but yeah, I'm with you, Tick. I be like, what's going on? How's it?
That's crazy.
Like, somebody tell me they going through stuff with their kid and stuff like that. As soon as they come back in, I'll be like, well, how's your kid? Or some of my clients will tell me, because I do their daughters, daughters here too. They'll be like, Yanni, I really need you to talk to her, because I'm telling you, for some reason, I'm really good with like teenagers, and I'm good with kids, so a lot of times my clients and even my friends, they'll tell me like, you need to talk to her because, I'm about ready to kill her, and
But
like, what is going
I believe
on?
that the more you be around people in general, see, my clients too, like my few little clients I have, we have bonds too. I pull up, my clients, I pull out the crib, I drink, have a shot with I chill, talk to them, tell me first, but I feel if you didn't connect them, they wouldn't be a client.
Yeah,
so you connect
that's
them,
right,
exactly.
Exactly.
Like you be a client too, not fuck with you.
This is what I'm talking about.
Nah, but I'm saying like
exactly.
Like, my thing is either I'm gonna deal with you or not. So obviously, if I'm dealing with you, we're gonna form some type of bond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what your clients for. If you didn't feel a client, if there's some bullshit, they gonna be you gonna.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to do therapy?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know if I ever intentionally thought like, hey, I want to be a therapist. I learned early on that I was just really good with people. And I remember working at Krause, sitting in my office thinking like, yo, this is not life. Like, I don't want to keep like interacting with this type of client. So for me, I think it was truly like godly intervention, because I remember sitting in my office thinking, okay, like what are my options? I happened to do a Google search, seen SU had a marriage and family therapy program, seen that I missed the deadline, and I was like, well, let me just call, I'm gonna try my luck. Let me just call anyways. Happened to call, talk to the director of the program, and he was like, well, we just put that out there. We have a rolling admission, so send your information in and let's see what happens. I then seen that their program requires that you take the GREs, which is the entrance exam for grad school. I don't test well. And I was like, so I've never taken the GREs. And I was like, well, I haven't taken the GREs, but I actually have another master's in sports administration. He's like, oh, you already got a master's. Don't worry about the GRE. Like, send your application in and let's see what happens. I think that was in maybe May or June, and I ended up getting accepted and started class in that August. So I truly believe like I'm walking in my purpose. Like, this is what God has like outlined for me. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I kind of like stumbled into it because I was working at Krause as a chemical dependency therapist just on the strength of I had a master's, but mind you, my master's was in sports administration. But up until that point, I had been working in like social services. So I had been a case manager at the Y. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club. So I already had some of the experience, and then they needed another black face. God led the way.
Yes.
That's a fact.
And how was the chemical dependency? How were you?
So it paid the bills. I got to the point where I was always more interested in why people were in my office or how they ended up in day treatment. Working in that field, it was solely about, okay, why are you using today? Let's not use. Let's get you clean. Let's get you out of drug court. Let's get you completed so you can step down. And in that system, I just never had the time to dig into, okay, so why are you here? Like, what happened? This is where you are, because we did group therapy for an hour and a half, and I was required to meet with my caseload. I think it wasn't even once a week. So we weren't even getting into the nitty gritty of, again, like, how did you end up being strung out, or how did you end up using for the last decade of your life?
Yeah, I used to work the Suboxone clinic, and
Oh.
I actually enjoyed it. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. I feel like, you know, like you said, everybody has their own story. People go through what they go through, and a lot of people, they shy away from working with people who have chemical dependencies and things like that. But honestly, they're just like everybody else. You know, they have bad days and they have good days. They come in there, they show out. They're gonna show their ass, but they will come back to me. But they know they need you, so they'll come back to you like an hour later or something. Like, you know, I'm sorry I talked to you like that, Ariana. I didn't mean that, you know. And I'm like, yeah, like, don't talk to me like that. I can't help you if you're being that way. You know, I didn't have a problem with working with people. I actually enjoyed it.
Yep, I did when I was there. So I worked day treatment, which is the highest level of outpatient treatment before somebody goes inpatient. So they there 5 hours a day, 6.5, 7 hours a day doing program. I transitioned from there. I did the Suboxone program, and then I did the methadone program.
It ain't for the week though. It's really not for the week. Yeah.
When I tell you, you see the gamut of
seriously.
Yeah.
In the wide range, you know, you can't with chemical dependency, like you would be so shocked and surprised. Like, you have no idea. Like, you really can't put a face, like, you know, growing up in the hood and stuff like that, you think all crackheads look. No, they do not.
Some are very functional.
Some are very functional drug addicts, and you will see people from all shapes, sizes, and walks of life.
They not considered just users. They considered addicts at that time.
Yeah, no, straight addicts. People will, just because some can function extremely well. They'll still go to work every day, but it's smoking their kneecaps off throughout the day. And you wouldn't even know.
So with something like that, somebody that's able to maintain a job, so you're not going to see them in your 5 times, like, they're not in program 5 days a week. So that's somebody who may only be touching base. They're in a 2 time a week program. They meeting with their counselor individually, maybe once a month. I think when we think of, like, drug addicts, we think of the extreme. The extreme. Which, those are in the extreme. So here's the deal. The extreme, that's inpatient. That's not even 5 day a week people. So when we think of drug, most times that's, we
thinking like the extreme, but there are a lot.
To me, a drug is a drug is a drug. I can't say my drug is better than your drug. You can get alcohol bad. You can smoke crack, and alcohol turn your ass up before the crack.
Seriously,
yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
drugs, basically, drugs affect people different. You know what I'm saying? And just because, like I tell people, because somebody smoke crack, don't make a crackhead. You can smoke weed or drink and be a crackhead to me because it's what you do on that drug that makes you a crackhead. Or you know what I'm saying? Because I know people who smoke weed and do crazy shit for weed or liquor, and that's crazy shit. So
you crazy
stealing and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, be stealing and doing crazy stuff.
No, listen, that's some real shit. And I ain't trying to be funny. And a lot of people, more females suck dick for weed than crackheads suck dick for crack. I'm a street dude. I'm trying to tell you what I know. A lot of females be fucking for weed.
I believe it.
I'm trying to tell you.
I mean, we've all heard that before. But when you go home at night, do you leave your work at work? Do it ever get to you sometimes so bad, like it overwhelms you or stresses you at home, like even after the clock stop?
Yes.
How do you cope with it?
I just that's what they say.
How do you cope with it?
Yeah, they say therapists need therapists.
Yeah, so I have my own therapist. Me and Fatima meet bi-weekly. I never miss a session. I be like, yeah, we need to chat, Fatima. But yes, there have been periods of time or clients that I have connected with that we've been able to really form a really good bond, that I have found myself like waking up in the middle of the night trying to figure out like, how can I be helpful? And I have had to do individual work for myself on like how to separate that. Because in those situations, I found myself working harder than the client. And it was like, yo, Rhea, if she like it, you need to love it.
Yes.
Right. And I had to be very intentional about doing that work. And it has worked me into a place of when I do have clients like that where I'm noticing that I'm doing most of the work, I have the hard conversation around, well, maybe now isn't the time to do therapy because you're coming, we're meeting, and everything is still staying the same. And they'll either say, yup, you right, or they'll really shift in how they show up, and then they'll actually start doing the work.
I have a question for another question. Do you believe people should take at least, no, the question is, if there's a time that like take time out of day where it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to just have peace and quiet to think to yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I always tell my clients, you can't give from an empty cup. You can't give from a place of depletion. I can't show up my best self for my kids if I'm not pouring into
not at peace, yeah.
If my cup is empty, I can't give to them. If I do, it's probably gonna be sideways. They're gonna be looking at me like, oh, what is wrong with her? So that's the number one thing that I advocate for all my clients. Self-care, something I always ask in every session. How are you taking care of yourself? What have you done for yourself in the last week? You'd be surprised how many people be like, nothing.
Yeah.
What would you suggest they do?
It can be, like literally, it can be anything. So for me, like I'm very intentional about getting my nails done, getting my hair done when I had more of it, getting massages, getting pedicures. But it can be something as simple. So I know for me, one of my feel-goods is literally just being able to sit out in the sun. Gotcha. So on days when I'm feeling super stressed, or if I have like clients back to back, even if it's just for 5 minutes, I'll go sit outside just to like take in the sun. I love the sound of like just nature. I'll literally just go sit outside. So it doesn't have to be.
It's not specific.
Yeah, it doesn't have
whatever
to be,
calms you, soothes you. You just need that for a certain amount of time and go back to some kids.
But people have to be able to pay attention or know like when their body is calm. Because most of us is like go, go, go. And don't really know what it feels like to truly have a calm body.
Yeah, I know I don't.
I be calling work like I'm not coming today. I need them
do it in the morning at night before you got to bed and sit there and just relax and just think.
But I think that's all relative to what works best for you. Yeah. What works best for the individual.
I don't think I do that.
Just sit there and lay there for
I don't think I have a calm. I'm go.
Whether you wake up or go to sleep.
But then when you get tired, what you do, explode?
No,
what do you do to help yourself when you just get to that overwhelming point from you going, because eventually you gotta get tired.
When I get tired, honestly, I go to sleep. I go to sleep, but even my sleep is still it's not a full sleep. Yeah, like I literally, for me to get a full sleep, I have to drink like mad sleepy time tea, dream tea. Like I really do. Like I have to sit, I have to drink mad types of tea. Like I really have to make myself go to sleep. Yeah, go into that space. And even then, I'm waking up early for no reason. You know what I mean? Like even on my days off, I don't know how to. On my days off when I'm supposed to be chilling, doing nothing, I don't know how to, like, I'm still up at early in the morning. I'm still like, you know.
You can stop now. I'm messing with you with nothing.
I do. I need to.
Probably been embedded in you because you helped raise.
Let me ask you this, because I believe a lot of shit be a mind thing. You get yourself believing this shit, and then you start acting this shit and doing this shit. When actually,
shit.
Huh? When actually, it didn't have to be like that.
Are you asking me or telling me?
I'm asking because I know I do to myself sometimes too. Because like I care. But if I tell you that you keep doing this to me, I'm not gonna care. Even if I do care, after a while I'm gonna start acting like I don't care. And I'm really not gonna care, but I really do care at the beginning. But after a while, it's gonna be.
So I would ask you, why are you conditioning yourself to be that way?
No, it's not. Okay, boom.
It's definitely conditioned.
It's not conditioned. Okay, boom. I'm gonna tell you.
It is because you keep telling yourself the same thing.
No.
So you could believe it.
Yeah, right. That's
conditioning.
Yes, I said why. I'm saying like why do people do that? There's a question. I want to say why. Like me, I'm saying.
So you could believe it. You answered it. You condition something to make another person believe it. That's what conditioning is.
Listen, everything always boils down to the why. Now I'm asking her why.
So you could believe it. You answered your own question.
Rhea, could you tell me? It can't come from you. I'm gonna shut the hell. You tell
No, but you asked the right question.
Nah.
I do it because I'm ignorant, right? But I give everybody a fair shot. So listen, I'm because I like getting started. I don't want to, but everybody lie, right? But at the beginning, you lie.
Everybody does lie?
Hell yeah, everybody lie.
Really?
I believe everybody lie.
Therapy kicking in, therapist kicking in.
Why do everybody lie?
Yeah, why do you
Because ain't nobody perfect. So
But
therefore.
that doesn't mean people lie. just
When you
because
say
they're
lie,
not
do you mean
perfect.
purposely?
You always say you get down to the why. So I want to know why the people condition themselves to believe shit that they really want to believe in. Like, example, I will lay my cards on the table. I like to get started up, but I will give you a fair opportunity. Tell you, I will never lie to you unless you lie to me. But now when I give you the truth, either accept it or respect it or don't, because you don't have to deal with me. They go both ways, right? But now, why I condition myself to not get the fuck sometimes? Because a lot of females say dudes don't express themselves. When they express themselves, it's not like they getting heard, right? So now when she expresses up to me, after I've been there so many times, I don't give a fuck if you're right. I'm not gonna care no more. You know what I'm saying? But I condition myself to do that because females be thinking like, oh, he's a dude, suck it up, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So
That's real.
like,
That's real.
and last one, and I love when I read it on Facebook. They say females always call them dude what's it?
Narcissist.
Narcissist, but they need to learn the word accountability. Because a lot of females look at a dude and say, "Why a dude like this, like that," and they don't even sit back and look at it. You probably made me this way.
That's a lot.
No, you speak real shit.
It's the most opposite of the spectrum. One is
So you said a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out
He
where.
may repeat this shit too.
Nah, no doubt, because it need to be heard.
I'm a visual, like I visualize things and I like create these pictures in my head. So what I'm envisioning now is like all that you said was like the double dutch ropes, and I'm on the side like trying to figure
when is the time to hop in?
like
Okay.
what's the right time? Because I don't want to get hit by no ropes.
So start with the why part, the conditioning part. Let's start with the conditioning.
But I answered myself on the one left.
Yeah, but-
So, and again, this is my first time meeting you, so.
I like talking shit, so you even got to pay no attention.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. You know what? Please give her a hug. Just give her a hug. Group hug.
Or you could even start with the men not expressing themselves because they don't get heard.
So I feel, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
Females need to hear this shit, because I want to hear. I need them to hear this.
So I feel like overall, especially in the Black community, men are taught to not express their feelings.
Yes.
And like you have to show up and be quote unquote hard. You can't be vulnerable. So I think because as a whole that's what society that is what society teaches men how they need to be. I think there's also the expectation, because the same lessons or how society teaches men that, women are also privy to that. So there's an expectation of us as women.
Yes.
Well, he shouldn't be, he can't do, like, he can't show up, or he can't be vulnerable, he can't express his feelings. So I think most times when a man, or maybe sometimes, when a man shows up that way, a woman may not necessarily know how to respond based off of society's perception or what society says. Now then you add on to that, we don't know what she witnessed growing up. Like, what were the men like in her household? So most women, we are only going based on the examples that we saw, as well as what society tells us how men should show up.
Can I say something though?
Go ahead.
Nah, but I believe everybody been through something in their life, right? So you shouldn't bring that in my life. I'm not saying it might come in my life here and there. But listen, it might come in my life here and there. But don't keep forcing that.
But what if they don't know that they have the issue, like she said, to avoid bringing it into your life?
Guess what?
You know, they can't help it.
Well, they get a number on this show because when I go on that show, you need to talk to her.
That's why they need here.
Well, they can't need your business card. Me and him come to a session.
Put that on the show, so because if I think you're crazy and I think I see something like, man, can you please call this lady? Like,
But here's the thing though, like in order for people to change,
they gotta know.
They have to have the awareness that something is off or something could be better or different.
Yes.
If we don't have the insight or the understanding of knowing something can be different, why am I seeking therapy?
Right.
Because I'm thinking everything is like
normal,
cool, like this.
See?
You get what I'm saying?
You watch Martin?
I do.
Martin like doing this, right? So you see eye to eye, right? Like I'm like you. I believe everybody have a problem.
Except for you don't know
people
yours.
From your own experience, the people that do come to your therapies, are they recommended or do they just come on their own? Or was it, oh, my mom thought, or such and such said I should come here? Or it usually it's, I think something could be wrong. Or whatever.
So I feel like most people are coming on their own.
Okay.
There's a small percentage that they'll reach out. Oh yeah, such and such says she sees you. She recommended that I call in confidentiality purposes. Like I can't reveal who's my client or who I know. I just kind of move on with the conversation. I've noticed if it's an outside agency that's doing the referring, most times people are just being compliant and aren't ready to do the work. They're just doing it as a means to an end of something else, and it's not much success in therapy.
Gotcha.
I know I'd be recommending you to find clients.
Do you have a lot of success, like as far as your therapy, like more successful cases?
I think you have to define like what is successful.
I don't know, like do you get a lot of people to actually like break through or get through whatever they trying to get through?
Do you heal?
Or do you got a lot of people that just cannot get through?
So yes, I think people heal. I think it becomes, oftentimes people want these quick fixes. And I've had clients that come in and it's like, well, why hasn't anything changed? And I go back to, well, you 40, you don't have 4 decades. You have issue developing. And again, I only see you for an hour.
Yeah.
Once a week.
Times a week.
So, and I only, and I paint that picture just so people can have they can be realistic about how long it's going to take. I tell people, you didn't wake up one day and you were just this way. There have been years and oftentimes decades of something being ingrained or you thinking that this is a way. So that's not going to automatically, disappear and go away because you connect with the therapist.
Oh, I hope you got a quiet room now.
And that's what everybody. That's
what
everything. I tell people when I do the hair, you can't expect a miracle and you come here once a month. I mean, I'm only seeing you 12 times a year.
Stay dedicated.
That don't mean your hair is gonna be down to your butt, and then you go home and put whatever, and then you
magic on it. That's much magic on it. You ain't got it. You just ain't got no.
Because it does. It takes work. And then you go home if you're not using the products I'm telling you to use. If you're not using the tools I'm giving you, telling you what you need.
No, you're not selling.
You're not gonna get the same result. It's not gonna work.
You get a Cheetah. You get a Cheetah. You get your products right. It's like Cheetah, whatever.
A cheetah. The cheetah. I can't.
It's my past gonna do for the word do for the cheetah.
You
gotta make people believe. You gotta make them believe.
Oh man, gotta show an example, right?
Yeah,
make them believe. Use this. I'm trying to tell you. Use this. Your hair gonna grow.
So you said that you're trying to get away from face-to-face clients.
Well, yeah. So since the pandemic started, I want to say, if we're 100% virtual.
Oh, so you don't?
So you be on computers, like Zoom.
You just don't want to physically be in front of people. Is that what?
So, and it's not even. So my decision to not have an office has nothing to do with my preference. From a business standpoint, literally, I looked at the numbers and thought, it's just not financially beneficial. I have an office in my house where I can do sessions virtually. And then, so I run the practice, but there's 3 other therapists, but I'm the only one that's in Syracuse. All of the other therapists either live downstate or in New Jersey. So for me to have an office, that would literally mean I'm taking on all of the clients that are coming into the office. And right now, I think this week alone, I'm seeing 20 clients, and that's not even my full caseload. So I am at capacity. So
you got no more.
That's good though. Because sometimes it's good to, sometimes somebody might not be comfortable with speaking to somebody right from their hometown, and it might be. So I think that's really good that you have other people, on your team and stuff like that.
I'm recommending you to a few people.
She is at capacity.
She is at capacity.
I'm in capacity, but there are other therapists. There's Jennifer who lives, she's Hispanic, she's in Jersey, and then there's Hiba, who works at the practice, who's Pakistani. She lives in Queens.
Y'all, what kind of insurance y'all take?
So we take Aetna, Cigna, Oscar Health, Oscar, or did I say Oscar?
You said
Oxford. So it's Aetna, United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Oscar, and Oxford insurance that we're able.
Oh, so you take mine.
To.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Put me on your waiting list.
Yeah.
Do you got a waiting list? That's a good question.
I try not. So, and here's the work that I'm doing with my own therapist. So, I try not to maintain a wait list. I say I'm full, but I'm still, taking clients, although I probably, shouldn't. Because I am,
And for those who are seeking a therapist, but they just don't know how to go about it, who just want to do it on their own, like how would they go about it?
So I have a page on Facebook called CNY Black Therapist, and every
CNY Black Therapist.
I repeat.
CNY Black Therapist.
Black Therapist.
Every so often, I'll post a list of a bunch of therapists that are based out of New York State. I just recently went on the list and tried to be a little more detailed. So the new list has all the therapists that I know that are in New York State. I've identified which ones are local to Syracuse. I've also on that list identified which ones take insurances, the insurances that they take versus the other ones that are private pay.
Rhea,
So
that's so good.
Yeah.
Seriously, that is so good. That's such a good networking thing, and not just networking, but that's so good for you to do that. That's a big thing.
Yeah, so on the list it'll have the therapist, her name or his name, although male therapists are like unicorns. So it'll have the therapist's name, the practice that she's working for, and her contact information. So it will vary from each therapist. Some have number, email address, and maybe website, and then others if it's just an email address. On that list, I also did on the last page, there's a couple of resources that people can reach out to. So if you connect with a therapist and she doesn't accept your insurances, there's a couple organizations that I know that will help offset the cost if people have to pay. That's on
that's so good.
The last page.
Okay. That's what's up.
Y'all heard it.
Just trying to do my part.
That's what's up. That, like you said, that's dope, man. Gotta give you flowers for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Gotta give you flowers for that, because what you doing is it's dope, man. It's needed, you know what I mean? And we just bringing awareness here, you know what I mean? Keep it concrete podcast, man.
Yes.
Or
thank you.
Definitely.
Yes,
thank you for coming out. It was good,
And I'll keep you guys updated. So my practice got a grant. So starting in sometime at the top of the year, I'm going to be doing a mental health 101, and that's going to be the very basic. Okay, so how do I connect with the therapist? It's going to be free. It'll be I'm not sure. So there's going to be 3 sessions. I'm not sure if they're going to all be in person or if they're going to be virtual, but once I get the information on how people can register, and it'll literally be from beginning to, I think I want a therapist, what are the steps I need to take, and just kind of navigating that.
Dope.
So once I get that, once everything is finalized, I'll share.
Yes, tag us. We'll share it.
I got another question though.
Go ahead.
Oh. What? So.
What's in the question?
Danny.
All right, go ahead.
I got time. What exactly is anxiety? And what's natural ways and stuff to cope? Because I'll be feeling I have anxiety all the time. Sometimes I wake up and I just be feeling extremely nervous, don't know why, can't control it. My mind be 90 different places, and it's be off the wake up sometime. Nothing even happened yet today. I just be all over the place, and I'm but then sometimes I realize I might have had anxiety today, but something happened to one of my siblings or something throughout the day that I wasn't aware of until a day or two later. Is that a connection type? What the hell is that? Because my brain be going and stuff be happening to my loved ones and close ones. I be feeling it, but I don't be knowing it at the moment until later I talk to them or something. But it be affecting me.
Okay. So based on what you,
Am I crazy?
No.
so
you're
no,
in tune.
I don't.
Don't say that,
So
bro.
no.
You're in tune because I do. I'm
So
the
no one
same
is
way.
crazy. So I think based on what you shared, it sounds like there's the potential that is anxiety, but it also sounds like you're just very intuitive
Yeah.
and that you feel.
Let me tell you this too, right? Because this, I've been dreaming dead people lately, right? Well, I dream of them all the time, but I know them generally, and it don't scare me. I always feel like they bring me a message or something, and most of the time it'd be like a good message of some sort. But lately, I've been dreaming of dead people that I do not know. I know that they are from Syracuse, but I don't know them, and they've been coming like more than once, different situations. Like it's one boy I've dreamed of around here who was murdered like a year or so ago. I don't know this boy, but I know of him. And I know that, like, you know, he was murdered or whatever. And it was like one of my dreams, I felt this mother sadness. But the next dream, when I dreamed of him, everybody was happy. But then I discovered, like, the person went to jail, they blew trial or whatever for it. So it's like it worked in his favor, like, you get what I'm saying? And then the other person, like, I've seen this guy around, I never met him. But, like, his dream with me was, like, good. It was like, me and his dream was like a personal one, but I don't know this man. But I know that he's from around here. But like it was like a good dream. So I've been taking dreams and stuff like that as maybe like the people is at peace. Cause that's how I dreamed about my father. When my father passed away, I was like really afraid of him for a while, and he kept telling me he was trying to convert, but I didn't know what it mean after a while. And then the more he kept coming to me, the more peaceful he was.
Okay.
So it's like I don't know what that be about. The dreams don't frighten me, but I don't know why they be talking to me.
That's like your third eye, like you more
might
in
be a
tune.
medium.
Yeah,
You
seriously.
know, you ever heard of
I don't want to medium people. I don't even want these people.
But it's not something
No,
that
but
you
dreams
could
mean a
control.
lot.
Yeah.
Dreams mean a lot.
And we're trying to Ghostbusters number 2.
No, but I be thinking about that. Like, you know, people who has passed on, most of the time they be my family and stuff, but they say stuff to me. They talk to me. It be like good dreams or whatever, but I be trying to pick them apart sometimes when I wake up and like, I just can't get it, but like.
But Tick, when them people
Yeah,
come
my
to you,
brain.
you can't control that type of.
Nah, when my brother's
Energy.
wife died, she
Yeah,
was
you can't. You
She
don't
scared
have
me.
no control.
No, dreams
over
mean
them
a
coming
lot.
to you. That just means they feel comfortable.
Yes.
You know, you can see
You
them.
got good spirit.
You got.
Yes.
For real. You got
You
good
ain't
energy.
never seen
For
a
real.
medium before. You ain't never.
I don't play with the people. I don't play with
No,
know,
it's not
so-
a psychic.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I'm a firm believer that God gives each of us gifts, and that just may be a gift that God has given you.
Gave
So
you.
what I would recommend is that you just pray about it and ask God, like, show me how to use this. If it's something that you're not comfortable with, help me become comfortable with this. Because if it's truly a gift from God, there's something that He wants you to do with it, and in some way you're going to touch His people with your gift. So I say my recommendation. This is not my therapist hat. This is actually my minister hat. I would take it back to God and just pray on it and ask
You
Him.
never heard everybody's blessed with that? As a, like, you never said it, a baby be sitting there laughing and smiling and nobody around?
Yeah, I be hearing stuff.
They say that happen to everybody, but once you're older, they know if they can
You
reveal
lose
themselves
sight of it.
Not
Yeah.
everybody, they not reveal themselves to everybody no more. You know what I'm saying? But I said, yeah, I believe that shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
It ain't that I wake up thinking I'm crazy, but
Nah,
I'm
they
waking
crazy.
up like,
They, like you said,
I don't even know
they
this
tough me
man.
for a reason.
No,
Like,
dreams,
And if that's so
dreams
here's the deal.
mean a lot.
Yeah.
Like
So
in my
if-
family,
so
we're
if it is a
definitely
gift from
into
God,
the
like
women
God
are.
doesn't want you to be anxious about it.
Yes.
And they're
Like
not
He
scaring
doesn't
you.
want.
No, they don't scare me
So
at
yeah,
all.
they're not
So
The
that's
only
how-
person that ever scared me was my father, but it scared me because I knew that he was dead. And the way he was talking to me in my dream, I'm
You
like,
see
this
it's
couldn't
real,
be
huh?
real because I know that you're
Yeah.
dead. Like,
Fact.
what are you
That's
doing
a
here
fact.
type thing. But
Yeah.
that's the only reason he frightened me. He ain't frightened me, like, but I just knew he was dead. But like, the more and more the dreams went on and more conversations we had in the dreams, I figured maybe he couldn't cross over whatever he needed to do when he first passed. And then eventually he was able to.
But the fact that
it
you're
got
not,
better and better
first.
every
yeah, the
time.
fact
Yeah,
that
that's a
you're
fact.
not
That's
afraid
real.
though should
No,
definitely.
that people don't scare me. I mean, they don't be doing nothing to intentionally like harm me or something like that in the dream. Like, so they don't frighten me.
They
I just be
can't
trying to
harm
figure out like, but they could make me so scared that I'll probably harm my damn self or something.
You know what's
I
strange?
just be, I don't know, like.
So again, if it's a gift from God, I would ask your questions. What do you need me to do with this dream? Like,
Yes.
why did you give me this dream, or what is the intention of me having this dream? What do I need to do with it?
For the one dream, I did tell somebody who knew the boy. Because I figured maybe, I don't know, it'd help her or something. I don't know, because I didn't know why I was having a dream. I don't know him.
That's exactly what it sounded like when you said the boy came back in a dream again and they ended up catching the,
They did. I learned that like a couple days later
they
that,
caught the person
they won the trial.
It sounded like they're trying to get a message over to somebody through you. That's what it sounded like to me. And you could be empathic too. Like an empath could feel other people feelings, like when you.
But I think that's like the person I'm learning to be now, because I really do feel people, like I be feeling people, like a lot of things people laugh at and think is funny, I don't, like, because I be feeling them from a whole nother level, like especially when it come to like dope fiends and stuff in the streets, how people treat them, like I don't really be finding that shit funny, like
Me
you don't
neither.
really know, like you said,
Sound like your third eye opening.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
I think that I have anxiety, but I think mine might be too, like, a low point, like I might could use some drugs or something sometimes.
So with anxiety, what I would suggest is, so there's
no, for real.
Oh, that's another question.
Sometimes I really wake up and be so fidgety all day, and it's uncontrollable.
Yeah, that's another question. How do you feel about medication?
So I think, hey, if you can get a prescription to help your mood, I say go for it. I've met clients, again, across the gamut that are real adamant about, no, I don't want medication, and there are some that are open to it. I always tell people, just know the likelihood of getting prescribed something on the first time and it working, highly improbable. It's going to take a while to figure out, like, what is the appropriate, or what's like the right combination, or what's the right dosage before you receive or feel like any symptom relief. But just regular things you can do specific to anxiety. So there's this whole like spiel about mindfulness. You can do stuff like literally just taking deep breaths.
My watch say that every day. Breathe, be mindful, stand up, breathe. I'll be like, what the fuck?
So literally, so that's the stuff. So that is, so it works. What I would suggest for you, like if you can take a couple of minutes to just sit in a chair, if you can do it for 5 minutes, good. If you can't, like if you can sit for like 2 to 3 minutes, close your eyes, have your feet like flat on the floor, be as comfortable as you can be in a chair, close your eyes, and just take deep breaths. But as you're taking deep breaths, like kind of do a body scan to see what you feel in your body or where you feel something in your body. So it can be something as subtle as, like I just feel like a twinge or something in my knee, or I feel something in my stomach.
But I do though, I get numbness in my arms and my legs.
So what you want to try and figure out is where you're carrying your anxiety, because most times it's somewhere in your body.
Get in tune with yourself.
So if you can figure out like where you're feeling that, like as you're doing your deep breathing, it's like I'm inhaling through my nose, but say I feel it in my back, but I'm exhaling like the anxiety out of my back. Because like what he said, the mind is a powerful thing. If you tell yourself something long enough, you will start to believe it.
So question.
And it will start to work. Like that's how like manipulation works. That's how, all that stuff. Again, somebody say something to you long enough, you'll be like, oh, well maybe the sky is actually purple. So like doing mindfulness, doing the breathing will help. There's other things you can do, like if you're sitting, case in point, you're sitting at this table, like you can literally just start to tap. But pay attention to how your finger feels as it's touching the table. Like what sensations do you get? Like what's running through your mind? Because sometimes with anxiety, what also comes with it is like really fast thoughts or quick thoughts, or like your thoughts are going. And that's how I am. What you want to try and do is try and slow your brain down and slow the thoughts down. Because the moment you can do that, you'll be surprised like the difference as far as what you feel in your body as far as being anxious.
So question? So to me, it's like you saying focus on something.
Yes.
To take your focus off what's going on.
Yeah, basically focus on whether you're being in tune with yourself.
Yes, the whole time. I never got a break. And I had COVID, and I feel like ever since I had COVID, like I forget shit. Like for real. Like I feel like I can't remember a whole bunch of stuff, and people think I be bullshit, but like no, I just it be coming to me or stuff. But like at the moment, sometimes I just might not really remember whatever it was, like, but I've been working nonstop, and I do that to myself. Like I think I'm just used to that. I work my job, then I go home and I do hair. I rip around with the kids. Like this is my everyday life. So I really do try to take breaks because I know I'm wearing myself down. Then I can't stop. Like, does that make sense? Like I can't stop because I'm used to I feel like it's me, and if I don't do it, somebody gonna fall short.
But there are
So I just
exercises you can
go.
do that you should start doing now if you're noticing that you're
But I gotta learn how to stop first.
like forgetting
'Cause
memory
I can't,
stuff,
like,
even
I
when
just
you're
be-
at work. If you're doing something else, you can. There are little exercises you can look them up. There are exercises that you can do to strengthen your memory, to strengthen certain things like that. So when you notice that type of stuff, you have to get a hold of it because you don't want to listen. Start doing memory exercises.
That's why, like now,
Seriously.
the weekends, instead of like trying to run the street, I'll stay home. And if them kids gone, like that's like heaven to me. Like I'll get in the bed, go sleep, because I get the peak. I don't have nobody calling me mom. I don't even gotta eat if I don't feel like it. I could just sleep, just lay there, just be quiet, clean up, whatever I feel like doing. Like I could just do that. Like that be my peace. But I feel like I don't get it enough. Like I just be.
You gotta create pockets of time.
Yep.
When I got pregnant, I learned how to be still because I couldn't move around. The pandemic helped me be still, so it helped me.
That never stopped me.
I know.
With
You
either
just
kid.
said you worked the whole time.
With both kids too, I never stopped. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I just be going.
It's like you need a private session.
I stopped for a short period of time during the pandemic, but when I tell you it was the best thing ever because it definitely showed me like I don't need to do 10 clients
Well, my
a
job
day
won't let
to
me.
survive. Like
My
you know
job
what I
won't
mean?
allow you to stop.
Yeah.
Because it's so like it
Yeah.
just won't allow you to stop.
Yeah.
You ever consider a different job?
Yeah, I've been trying.
Okay.
My job like offers vouchers and stuff to pay for school, so I'm trying to like I'm using them vouchers now to try to get to the next place I need to be while trying to be patient with my job because it is very overwhelming. I be finding myself a lot now spazzing out everybody, even the bosses. But it's like it's because it's overwhelming. But I be telling them that like they get on my nerves, and I don't really know how to express that nicely. But to tell them they get on my fucking nerves, like
Create
so I be
boundaries.
like,
No is a boundary that you can, create boundaries. And
Don't
be
nobody
very
get on your nerves,
intentional
either.
about trying
they
to
do get
create.
on my fucking
Get on your
nerves.
own fault. You control your
Just
own
tell them
feelings
that
and
you need a
emotions.
mental break.
But I do. I really call my job sometime and be like, I'm calling in because I need a mental day. I can't focus. I can't be in there. But I be sick. They see I play a lot, so a lot of times they think
So
I'm
they
playing.
think you're playing?
But I be dead damn serious and I don't come because like I really need a break. Like I can't focus on not y'all today. I need to focus on these kids or something. I can't do both of y'all today. Something ain't gonna go right.
good.
Because
That's
I be
good
needing
energy.
to
That's
know,
good.
like
I feel
especially
like-
about anxiety, because I know that I have it. Nobody diagnosed me with the shit. I don't think.
Well, a lot of us do. A lot of us have anxiety
I
and
know that, so
PTSD.
something-
This
And
ain't
have
no,
had
this ain't no
it
something
for
wrong
a
with
long
you, right?
time.
You be don't giving a fuck.
I don't.
That's something wrong.
another
That's
thing.
something wrong. I don't be giving a fuck. That's something.
I be
That's my
caring about
defense
stuff to
mechanism.
a
I know what it is.
Depending on what it is.
I call it my defense. That's my war. When I don't give a fuck,
She think I'm
that's,
crazy.
let's save myself. I swear to God.
Bitch, you need a
I don't
session.
give a fuck. Is that
Nah,
bad?
for real though, cause like I really do.
You said what?
I guess I pick and
Nah.
choose the things I care about. Maybe that's better.
Can I ask you this question too?
That's all right.
Answer it
Maybe.
first, though.
I don't know.
Y'all both need a session together.
No. I know. I'm
Together.
bugged the fuck out. I'm aware of everything. I'm very aware of everything.
Yes.
I do. It's premeditated shit. I think before I speak, all that shit. This
I
is-
know you
That's
do.
off the record.
But yeah, the camera. But my thing
Come
is,
get that.
I think it's my defense mechanism because I don't give a fuck. A lot of shit don't bother me because, like you said, like a lot of people let things affect them that don't need to be affected. That don't have nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't mind their fucking business. Like I live a simple life and I like their reality. That's why I don't give a fuck. It's because my thing is gonna be is gonna be no matter what. Is that bad? Because
So I typically don't use terms like good, bad, because like what I may deem is bad is based off of my personal.
I want your opinion.
So,
That's
Is it
a session,
Is
Dan.
it impacting your life in any way that you would identify it as being negative?
I don't think it's negative because it could become negative. I believe I stopped from becoming negative. You know what I'm saying? Because like I think with people's purpose and I watch people. So if you give me any type of funny vibe, I'm not gonna deal with you because I know if I do deal with you and I ran that red sign, that stop sign, I'm gonna fuck you up. You gonna fuck me up. Somebody get fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
And we don't want that.
So
We don't want that.
that's why I try to watch things and assess people too for me. So we either gonna deal with you or not. what I'm saying? Because they say a lot of good people around, but a lot of good people don't reveal themselves to you because you done fucked up and did some whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I do. Like, so basically, I don't give a fuck to save myself. You know what I'm saying? Because if you did do some shit to me, you know what, I don't give a fuck. It's story for you. I'm not gonna deal with you no more. You know what I'm saying? That's part of my I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't let a lot of shit bother me, because a lot of people let shit bother them, it ain't really a fucking problem. If they think about it. But
like, just don't stress over nothing you can't, because you have no control
I
over.
do reality. You know what I'm saying? I have no. It's gonna be no matter what. That's why I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, if you can't control
So
it.
you can't control it. Don't stress it.
That's gonna be no matter what. That's why I don't give a fuck.
That's my uncle's favorite phrase. I don't.
Okay,
sometimes it's really best to not. In your professional opinion,
you might not believe that. You might not believe that. They say the person who loves the less always win, and the love you have to care. You know, you can play. To me, I can play word games with shit. But I can tie it all of them together. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It's a cold world. Better bundle up.
Alrighty.
Nah, but I'm just joking. That's the reason why. I don't care to save myself. I don't care to save myself for the hurt and pain, because at the end of the day, you are in control of your own. Don't nobody make you mad. You are in control of your own emotions and feelings. You can't.
Well, I'm gonna do both.
But I feel like today's session was dope. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely want to give you your flowers, because your services is definitely needed. You know what I'm saying?
And I know you be having a headache. I'm gonna buy you some ibuprofen.
For Christmas, right? Get her home. You know what I mean?
I'll get you a neck.
We got you.
The Costco,
like little back beside for your chair, because I feel like I overwhelmed you. So come on.
Nah, y'all good. You good.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say before we
give her a hug?
No.
Why do you want me to have?
Because.
And we all gonna get Felicia a hug
for us
at the end of the show.
No extra information for us.
Help is healthy.
Yeah.
That's
help is healthy.
And
That's
people.
dope.
Help is
I like that.
They really do.
Say your Facebook page again.
Yes.
So there's a business Facebook page. It's Mind, Body, and Spirit Marriage and Family Therapy. Email info@mbsmft Mind, Body, Spirit Marriage Family Therapy. The number is 315-308-1218. The website is mbsmft.com.
You about to make your commercial.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yes, she also has her boutique.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, she also has her boutique. Remember, I had the sweatsuit on last week.
Which one?
The orange one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, if you're looking for comfortable loungewear.
Where the boutique at?
It's online.
I'm in the world of virtual.
Oh
yeah.
So
that's where it's at now.
It's
on
online.
Zoom.
The website for that is shop. Is it Shop Pamper Me? If you go it's pamper-me-pretty.com.
Okay.
Is the website.
Super comfy. Cute stuff.
What's up, man? But yeah, the session. Look, I'll call it a session. Today's episode was dope, man. Oh man, and I appreciate y'all tuning in to the Keep It Concrete podcast. We're gonna continue to come with good content as we did today. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all have a good weekend, whatever it is.
Swear to God, don't.
And me.
All right, we signing out.
To do. Giving up is hard to do.
Giving up is hard to do.
I never sat before my window on the second floor. I was a little chico on the block, hustling work. Trying to keep my hands out my pants so they wouldn't thaw. Had me serving classmates, teammates, I was cooking up raw. Got pregnant at 16 cause I wanted for raw. My life wasn't pretty, but I was a grew up rough. Raised by my moms, I grew up tough. My actions had me in handcuffs. I had to get it how I get it cause I was rough. Watching them lean against baseboards, could never get enough. Smoking mad weed, watching my niggas sniff coke. My niggas getting locked up, cases no joke. Papa wildin' out cause he ain't got no dough. Spent this last 20 and a nigga gave him soap. Standing in the trenches never went broke. So rest in peace of mommy and all my kinfolk. 2022 begin, I want that. While bitches doing bids, deciding to bust back. Leaving niggas raising babies, now how do you explain that? As felons on parole, I still sell